This is Culture Girl, and I'm at the amazing confluence of architecture that is the Civic Center Cultural Complex in the city, the very snowy city of Denver. We are right by the work of four architects in extremely close proximity. We're seeing here the Daniel Libeskind addition to the Denver Art Museum, which has been open now for a few years. My first visit here since it was under construction. I did see it back when it was being built. Right here is the previous Denver Art Museum, still being very much used, of course, the Gioponti building. Here is a house called the Byers Evans House, and Ann Evans was actually one of the founders of the American Indian collection at the Denver Art Museum. And underneath the bridge of Daniel Libeskind, which attaches from the old building to the new building, underneath that bridge we see the Michael Graves Denver Public Library. You can glimpse it under the bridge, multiple shapes, multiple colors, and to me a very attractive building. But here's the new kid on the block. Now under construction, it is the new Clifford Still Museum that is scheduled to open at the end of this year, housing 94% of Clifford Still's oeuvre. This is going to be the home of his estate and his widow's estate. You can see some of the formwork of some of the concrete skin that building is going to be clothed in. It is designed by architect Brad Clyfford, who of course did the Seattle Art Museum addition and the Museum of Arts and Design, total revamp and renovation and reconfiguring. And we're going to go inside in another video and see some of what's being done there. This is Culture Girl, and I'm here at the site of the new Clifford Still Museum in very snowy Denver. And with me here, and we're right next to the Denver Art Museum, the Daniel Libeskind edition, and with me here is Dean Sobel, the director of this new facility. Dean, tell us what we're seeing here, and tell us about this unusual looking concrete that is going to be the skin of this building.
We're looking at a portion of the south facade of the Clifford Still Museum, which shows the way in which Brad Clyfford and Allied Works Architecture have crafted this highly innovative concrete formwork, which is created by boards of various distances and widths with beveled edges that, when lined up side by side and then concrete is poured into them and broken away, it creates this vertical arrangement of what we call fins that often break off in the stripping process to create the kind of pattern and texture that will wrap itself around the building. The part we can't see today, unfortunately, is the way in which the Colorado daylight will cast shadows on those fins and create a much more kind of dynamic overall surface pattern. But it's a kind of concrete casting that's really never been done before, and one that I think is extraordinary and wholly appropriate for the Clifford Still Museum.
Okay, well, let's go on inside and see a little bit of the interior. Thank you. Now we're here in a little mock-up of what the galleries are going to consist of. This is not actually a gallery that's going to be in the museum. This is a separate freestanding mock-up of how things are going to look. As you can see, there is some sheetrock, there's some concrete, but let me ask Dean Sobel, director of the Clifford Still Museum, to tell me what we're looking at and how paintings are going to be hung and what the light is going to be like in these spaces.
Our architect sees the building as one kind of cellular form. So in about 5 instances on the gallery level, flat board form concrete will be the hanging surface for the paintings, which I think will help set off some of the textures and even the kind of whites, bright whites that Still uses in many of his paintings. One of the most significant features of the Clifford Still Museum is this innovative daylighting system that will be filtered through a cast-in-place concrete screen. And what we're looking at here is actually a simulation of that through gray painted styrofoam panels. But it's a daylighting system that will allow us to use Colorado's daylight as a means to sculpt daylight, and I think actually use daylight to help bring the textures and forms of these paintings alive.
And there's a skylight above the screen.
Yeah, the actual skylights themselves are a great distance, as you can see, probably about 6 feet above the concrete screen itself.
Yes. And I should say that these mirrored walls that we're seeing here are reflective, but not reflective of what the actual galleries are going to look like.
We're trying to recreate as best as we can the actual light conditions of the museum. And a number of tests and adjustments have been made as a result of our ability to test it here first.
Tell us a little bit briefly about the inaugural exhibition you're hoping to open at the end of this year. Tell us what the first show will consist of.
The first show will be about 60 paintings and about 30 works on paper, probably a sculpture that Still has left in his estate, describing the primary places where Still worked, and the primary imagery as he moves from sort of decade and decade, culminating in the breakthrough works of the 1940s and 50s.
Okay. Well, we look forward to seeing it in short order. Looks like you still have a lot of work to do, but hopefully everything will come together just in the nick of time. Thank you.